feel under saddle, so why would I want to make her heavy when I work her on the ground?
She's fine.
After I can get them where they're back up, we do a deal called Stay With Me. I didn't invent this. I didn't invent any of this. This is the Bill Dorrance doing. You stop, they stop. You back up, they back up. And they ought not to wait for the seat. And you rub them for being good. Always reinforce. Because these baby horses, if you put too much pressure on them, or you scare them, they will shut down. And if they shut down, you're done. But that's the beauty part of it also, is look how much you can get done with a yearling with no weight on his back. So when you start riding this T30 colt, this is a Peppy Sand Badger out of the Tongue Tap mare. When she gets ready to go into training, doesn't get too fat yet. She'll be 18 months old. And we're going to have a lot of things done on her before we ever ride her. Keep that life in. That's her just telling me she's got to be alive, and I'd rather ride one this way. The hip steps away, balance left. Across the arena we go. Good. Keep your belt buckle where you want to go. Yeah. Stretch up. Soft. Soft. And then in. When you hit the wall.
See if anybody has questions.
Left hip steps. These little baby horses haven't had an opportunity to do anything bad. If you keep setting them up in situations where they can only achieve success, that's all they'll know how to do in their show career too. Just be successful. You don't necessarily have to go running 80 in the cut to be successful. If you ride this little horse and she marks a 69, but you enjoyed the ride, life is short. That was success. If you base your picture of yourself on someone else's opinion, it's going to be a sad your own existence. And I want this baby horse to trust me to the point where it has its own self-worth. But it enjoys trying for me. Now after I get that little bit of backup that I got, I might want to work on that rib cage a little bit. And I'll go over here with that man that's not play. You might want to change leads on her someday. If you do that, you're going to have to side pass horses in the air. So we need to get his rib cage broke loose. We're going to do it just like we do it when we ride. No different. All of my groundwork is the same with my riding. Yeah. You can do whatever you want to do on the ground and not wreck these horses. Does anybody here know what the best thing in the world you can do with a horse is? What's the best thing? With these baby horses, you can't ride them, they're too little, and riding is the best answer. These baby horses are too little to ride. The best thing in the world you can do with these baby horses is groundwork. That being said, what's the worst thing you can do with a yearling colt? Groundwork. If you do your groundwork improperly, it's no different than teaching this horse to go under saddle improperly. You have to do this stuff correctly with feel and timing and maybe a little compassion, maybe some joy. But this is what makes your saddle horses move this way. You're going to ride them that way. If you do this groundwork wrong, take life out of them, you're done. Now maybe after I want to do this rib cage a little bit better. She's pretty fresh. I haven't even touched this horse since last Saturday. It's been turned out, enjoyed the day. Pretty fresh. But I just want her to be relaxed and step over for me. There we go. See this spot?
Hello? Hello?
Bill Dorrance has a spot right here. It's called the Bill Dorrance Magic Spot.
You found
Little
it?
cluster of nerves right here.
Okay.
And I don't want to be too much of a carrot feeder, but if that horse has put that spot up
Oh,
to you,
shoot. Well, it's sitting next to the TV. I didn't realize Bree was going to be with you. It's sitting next to the TV.
They get to where the line.
By the booth.
This little horse.
Okay, the booth's in the first row.
She got too close to me. But we'll chip away at that. I'm not going to make her afraid of me. I'm going to make the punishment 59. But when she tries for me, I'm going to rub on her. Let her know she did good. When I climb on her next January, I'll bet you $1 bill. It's a pretty easy ride. Let her get some steam out. Sometimes you just got to pitch your head anyway and let her go low. When you ride, you got to do that sometimes. When we're working on ground, it's no different. Now we'll see if we can get her to. As you perfect, get these maneuvers, you start to polish them. I'm backing her up with my fingers slapping that rope. Pretty light. She was that way from day one, and I made it a point not to make it any worse. If I stay here, she stays here. If I send her, she goes. If I can send her through here, do a one-range stop, then I think I could probably take her in the house, sit her on the couch, watch TV, but my wife would get real mad. I'd have to do it when she went home. But she'll go wherever I point. And that was with feel, so we your saddle folks. And you gotta let them be alive. She reared up right there. It's just her being alive. She's not gonna do that. In January, when I start riding her, it'll be out of her system. Because I'm not gonna ignore her between now and January. We're gonna show her in trail all year. She's getting used to getting choked. She'll be hauled, she'll be clipped. She'll be tied to the horse trailer all day. She'll go show in a pen and get tied back up. This stuff will be gone. And I never once ever punished her for being glad to be alive.
Well, don't let her kick out on you.
But sometimes when they offer, take what they offer. It's all good. If you were riding her and she was running off, you just do one ring stop. Rub on her this thing. That's all you got to do. I'm going to, this is what this little demo here is beyond the scope of training. I can't really tell you how I did this, because it would take too long. This is just a demo of my in-hand trail horse. And I can make her do about anything I want her to do. I'm
45 minutes.
I still have 45 minutes? Okay. After I get...
Do your first 3 steps.
What's that?
Do your first 3 steps.
I did them already. Put the stick and string on their back. Alexa. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Before we go any further and I forget where I am, because I'm going to bring out a finished horse here in a little bit that can do all this stuff without me asking. This little baby here is here today to show you what I think control on the ground is. Control on the ground is not being able to tie up the tree. Control on the ground is not being able to pick up the feet so the horse here can train how to handle their feet. Control on the ground is no different than control on a bridle horse. If you're going to make a bridle horse, you need to start right now. And you need to do it light, soft, and relaxed. And they all get this way. But if you go to jerking and snatching on them, they'll quit you. And then you don't know what you have until they're two and you climb on them. And sometimes when they're two and you climb on them, it's not necessarily the result that you expected. So, that being said, I want these little horses to seriously be just as soft as a bridle horse. If I'm leading along out through here and I stop, she stops. If I go over here, she doesn't have this perfect, but she's got to start. If I come over here, she follows me. She has to rake me because the spot's on her neck. Her neck on my shoulder, so she's learning how to rake just like if we were tracking a cow down the fence. If I stop, she stops. If I go in here, she goes in here. That spot on her neck stays with me. That's how she learns rake. And when I'm moving forward, I'm putting pressure on her. When I stop, I take the pressure off. That's the same way we're going to do when we ride her. You got pressure. Take the pressure off. She just stopped. I'm going to chip away at this until she puts herself right there. And now she's getting a little air jerked out of her. She's getting quieter and quieter. And every time I do an exercise that requires movement, I do an exercise that requires them to stand still. I don't teach these horses to stand still, they just stand still. The reason being is we teach the alternative. If you're not standing still, you're working. Yes, ma'am. The back end. Remember what I said? I got them used to my tools. If you have a problem area, just use your tools on it. Flag, grab a chicken by one leg, try to sack him out with that. And I'm going to keep doing this until she stops. There we go. That's how you work on that part. Is you just chip away at it, and you chip away at it every day. There's no problem areas on these horses. People put something on them in a certain spot, the horse flinches, the person freaks out, voila, the problem area. This horse doesn't know that it's not supposed to like this. This horse doesn't know that it's not supposed to like a scent. I'm going to make her stand still. When she stands still, I'm going to take the pressure away. Everything about my groundwork is exactly the same as my saddle work. If you're going to ride a horse and you want to yield a hindquarters someday, then you better yield his hindquarters on the ground. One way or another. It might require rock grinders, but I don't like to go that route. This thumb right here that's in this rope is a spur. And it's all the spur you need to ride a bridle horse. It should be the only spur you need to move your horse. And rubber touches up. And get on in here. Get on in here. Let her know that you can be with her. Because that's what reassures them and comforts them. And you're just touching her. She's not perfect. You can see her. By the end of summer, she'll be a lot better. By January, she'll be ready to ride. But we already know that we got some potential here. Nice little step over. That's how you said I was working on the front end. I really wasn't. I was working on guiding her face. Where if I pull and make contact with her face, she follows that feel. If I'm working on the shoulder, I'll put my little baby horse around me where I can see both ends. Forward motion, everything's taught with forward motion. When she's bent properly, I step her across. That's how you work on the front end. It's down the line. A lot of these things I'm showing you took me several days to figure out with this horse. And every once in a while you just have to settle them. They're not machines. If you want something that's perfect 24/7, you better get your full wheel. And they'd probably break down. Remember, get a discount. Well, I got a rule at my barn. It's a pretty simple rule. I can touch you, but you can't touch me. And if they touch me, the first time, it's a warning. Second time, they pay the price. The third time, if they touch me again, within like 2 or 3 minutes, then I didn't tell them loud enough. Sometimes it's not all cosmic. Sometimes it's not all carrot feeder stuff. Sometimes you got to just get a hold of them and ride them. Sometimes when you tell them something and they ignore you, you have to escalate your age until they do acknowledge your presence. But that's last resort stuff. You don't go right to beating on them. You try to be soft and you try to be quiet. You try to treat them like their mama treated them. But I guarantee you, their mama kicked this filly's mama kicked her harder than I'll ever hit her, because I can't lift nothing that heavy. But I'm not going to hit this filly until she proves to me she just got done flipping me off. If she's ignorant, I have to train ignorance out of her. There's some bloodlines that are not on the top of the charts because they're stupid. You can't beat ignorance out of a critter. You can't. Sometimes you have to pound on stupid. And that's just the truth. That's why it's so important in this day and age to do some of this kind of stuff. So you see when you climb on at a 2-year-old and you're sending it to a trainer that charges $1,000 a month, you're going to pay $1,000 a month to get your colt gelling up to ride? That's crazy. And if you don't know how athletic your colt is right now today at 10 months old, what makes you think that you're willing to spend that kind of money to go to the big show and not know what you have? Your odds are better at Vegas. At one time we had a daughter of Mr. Melody Jack and a daughter of Breakfast Playboy. We did 2 embryo transfers a year. We got 4 colts a year. All I had to do was haul those baby horses and show them in-hand trail, and I couldn't get enough colts on ground. Because those trainers that were looking for futurity prospects could go to a show and watch me handle one of my baby horses, as opposed to getting on a 4-wheeler and going out in the pasture looking at the American colt. Great. And by the end of the summer, this little filly's going to be slick and shiny. Going to be in show shape, going to know how to haul, know how to show. And it's just a better deal all the way around. And she's also going to learn how to learn. Anything that we've showed her today took the time to do it. But she knows now that I can teach her something, and she's willing to let me teach her something. I know that she is trainable, as opposed to starting a dozen head of colts in the house and wondering which one's going to buck which one ain't. I know that this one could be easy to start. I've got 3 or 4 at the house that are just like that. This one is in town because she won the in-hand trail last weekend. She did the best.